You're watching and sensing that something is different today, that's because it is. Melissa, Lainey, Cynthia, and Jess have decided to share their chairs. And what that means is that they're giving a platform to our Black friends and hosts. They want to step aside in order for the voices of others to be amplified. They'll be following along online today, and you can too using the hashtag #ShareYourChair. Right now, though, I'd like to bring in TSN's Kayla Grey, E-Talk's Tyrone Edwards, and iHeartRadio's Jamar McNeil. It means a lot that you're all here today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us,
having
Marci.
me.
So, Kayla, I want to start with you and a question that maybe you're not being asked so much these days, and that's just how are you doing? Because it hasn't been easy.
It has not been easy. And it feels so loaded to even answer that question of how I am doing. I am not okay, for anybody that's wondering. I am tired, but I want to be very clear. Though I am tired, though I am exhausted, I am never, ever tired of being Black. I am proud to be Black. But we cannot continue the way that we have been continuing. Things need to change. We need to see action. And I'm not just talking about police brutality. We should be focusing on that as well. But we need to be talking about what we also can do, the systemic stuff, things we should be having, the conversations we should be having with our bosses, our friends, our family. It's time that we change. Enough is enough.
And we hear that loud and clear. The thing is, as we go through all those feelings and sometimes have those conversations in our head because we might be afraid to say them out loud and have those important conversations, it takes courage. We continue to work every day. Jamar, how are you doing?
You know what? It's been a roller coaster of emotions for me. I personally, because I've migrated here from the United States, I'm looking now from a different perspective as someone looking back at the U.S., at, what's happening. And it hurts my heart that I'm not there to join my brothers and sisters in the protests. But it also hurts my heart to see the footage of George Floyd because I, too, was choked brutally by police in the United States. They choked the life out of me almost. And if they had choked a little longer, I'd be a George Floyd. So to have to watch that again so many years later, it infuriates me. But then it also it's frustrating because for far too long, we as Black people have been afraid to tell these stories for fear that our white counterparts will feel uncomfortable or feel upset that we're breaking, the silence and making this an issue on their entertainment platforms where this is not the place for it. And, it is a source of pressure in my personal life. And I'm glad that the pressure has been relieved in this way. It's a mixed bag because I'm not glad to see what's going on, but I am glad to know that I can speak now and I can speak loudly and proudly and boldly.
Jamar, I want you, if you can, to elaborate on what happened with you and the police and this whole idea of seeing your face in George Floyd. Tell us more about what happened, if you can.
In 1998, when I was in university, I was in my vehicle and I pulled up to a convenience store near the university. This is the University of Maryland, College Park. And I pulled up to one of our popular convenience stores called Wawa. And it was a Friday night, a club night, tons of people outside. And like many young 20-somethings, I'd have booming system in my car and I wanted to show off in front of all the girls. And, in a perfect world, if the police want you to turn your radio down, like in white neighborhoods, they walk up to you, they go, "Hey, Danny, turn your radio down. What are you doing out here?" And you enjoy a laugh. And it becomes a community where the police are just looking at these crazy kids and telling them to chill out because it's a noise ordinance. Instead, this police officer from the Prince George's County police officers, two of them, came up to my car, told me to turn my music off. I looked at them to turn my music down, and as I'm turning the radio down, one of them grabbed my neck and started pulling me out of the vehicle in front of a ton of people. And I say this is 1998, before cell phones. I mean, there were cell phones, but this is before camera phones. So there was no video footage, but it made the newspapers, and there were a ton of people outside watching in horror as a guy that everyone knew was getting pulled out of his car by his neck. And he kept squeezing, and he didn't let go until he was good and ready to. And when he did, he and his police buddy started laughing at me. I could be dead today, and I could be a story, and I could be just another name on the list of brutalized Black men, and that has never left me. My entire life, it has never left me.
Of course it hasn't. And thank you so much for sharing that. Tyrone, it was just, a couple of days ago when you were on this show, and I asked you that question, how are you doing? And that turned into something that really none of us expected. You had said you didn't expect to do it yourself. So all these days later, want to ask you the same question, and let us know, because we want to know.
You sure?
I'm sure.
I'm. You know what? I am grateful. I am blessed. I am supported. I'm loved. I am still disgusted by our reality, but I'm hopeful. I am all of these things because in me coming on the social on Thursday and sharing with you guys and being vulnerable and emotional, I know that it has inspired a lot more people to unmute and a lot more people to look within and decide, wait a minute, okay, well, maybe there's some things I can change. Maybe I'm a Black person that needs to speak up. Maybe I'm a white person that needs to apologize. Maybe I'm a white person that is willing to learn. I realized that in that moment, what had happened was me sharing was, I owe it to myself. I owe it to Jamar. I owe it to George Floyd. I owe it to other Black men and women that have been through similar situations. But I also owe it to everyone else. White people, Asian people, South Asian, anybody that is willing to learn and that wants to learn and now can be an ally for change. I owe it to you. So I know that my tears weren't in vain. And that isn't typically my, that's not really my flex on TV. But, and I was almost hesitant to share it on my social media. But I am so glad that I had the opportunity and that I could let God shine through me, and I could answer your question again today with a little bit more optimism and hope, and tell you that I'm okay. I'm good, even though I'm still angry and we still have a lot of work to do. I'm feeling confident right now.